Well, Natara, tell me a little bit about the inaugural College Football Hall of Fame General Manager Forum that you guys are going to be doing next week.
Sure. So this one was established this year. The General Manager Forum was a takeoff, if you will, of the Quarterback Coaching Summit. And we're looking to sort of bifurcate the individuals who are aspiring to be general managers versus coaches. So the curriculum prior to this year has been a mix. So we've done sessions for both GMs and or hopeful GMs and hopeful head coaches during the quarterback summit. But we really thought we wanted to get some concentrated sessions for general managers, and we've actually been doing it all season long, testing it out and to see like how do we separate these two groups so we can really make sure people's needs are met.
Well, you have several owners who are going to be involved in that. How important is it to have the owners? Because ultimately, they're the ones who are doing the hiring.
Absolutely. And I am actually really hopeful for the interaction for this year. This will actually be our second year with ownership involvement, and it's been outstanding. Literally after last year's, we had some clubs reach out and said, I want to be involved. Do not leave me out. And so I'm so happy with just the number of clubs that are going to participate, as well as just the interest in it. And it's really important for us because, like you said, they're the ones who are doing the hiring. And the genesis of both events is just making sure that hiring individuals are aware of the talent that's out there. So participating in this event allows for that networking to happen, even if it's virtual.
Well, Natara, you are, I'm sure, aware of the criticism that is out there regarding the last coaching cycle. The general manager cycle did a little bit better. There were a couple more minorities hired for the GM positions. What more can the league do? It seems like you can only have so many. You put out the opportunities, you have these forums. Ultimately, like I said a little bit earlier, it falls upon the owners to do the hiring. So is having maybe more minorities in place at the general manager position, because they're the ones who are also involved in the hiring practice, is that going to help, you think, as far when it trickles down to the coaches?
Well, I think it's actually a mixture of things. And we like to say that all of these are just tools in our tool belt. So quarterback summit alone is not going to get us to where we want to be. We're certainly not where we want to be. And you point out the coaching cycle. We know that we can't win a Super Bowl with one game, right? And so all the things that we're doing are leading us to the results and the outcomes that we all hope to see. Now we talk about in our group is we have two different areas to our group, one being the pipeline area under Troy's leadership and commissioner's guidance. But we also have an analytics group as well. And that our analytics team looks at our numbers. And so although you may not have seen the numbers from a head coaching hire position, we are getting so much traction in other areas. So the number of interviews have gone up, as an example. The number of individuals being reviewed in our database has gone up. The number of owners in our database has gone up. And so there are small steps to getting to where we are. Rome wasn't built in a day. So we are very, very positive on the progress we're making, but never, ever saying that we're where we should be. But I know that, if we continue with these types of tools like the quarterback summit and the general manager forum, we're going to eventually get there. It may not be as fast as everyone wants it to be, but this problem wasn't created overnight. So the solution isn't going to work overnight.
Natara, for a long time, people would say there just aren't that many candidates available, but that issue of there aren't coaches in the pipeline, I think, has been put to rest because we have seen that there are more than so many different qualified candidates. So is getting that narrative out of the way that there aren't enough coaches in the pipeline, was that like one step in the hurdle to say, hey, these candidates are there, they're available for both coaching jobs, for coordinator positions, for GM jobs, for any front office positions?
You are absolutely right. And I think that I've been with the league for 17 years, been over in this position for almost 3. And the initial thing that I was asked to do is to help with emphasizing our database of coaches. And when you go through it, that claim of there's not enough talent is laughable. And I applaud our ownership group. They're the workplace diversity committee was actually the ones who actually put us on the charge of, okay, this is out there as a thing. Let's dispel that myth. And so that was our first charge, was actually putting together this database, which we launched in December of 2019, to show people that's just a straight up falsehood. and not only do we have, because people say, okay, you have minorities, you have people of color, but as you mentioned, it's not that. You've got winning coaches of color. You've got individuals who have extensive experience. You have extensive knowledge of running a room, and from a general manager perspective, understanding what personnel is doing. And so not only were we able to just say there's quantity, but we were also able to prove and show that this is not something that just happened. We have quality going back for years. And so I think this, like I said, this is one tool in our experience, and the database is another, but all of those things together with the conversations that we're having, I think people will put that to bed quickly.
Natara, how encouraging is it when a coach like Bruce Arians makes it a point to focus on hiring women coaches, he's got minorities at each coordinator position, the only coach, the only team in the NFL, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, offensive coordinator, special teams, defensive coordinator, and then they go and win the Super Bowl. So how encouraging is it to see that?
It's extremely encouraging as a female, obviously, as a person of color as well. It's extremely encouraging, but I think that what's more encouraging is that he didn't do it because he just said, I want to have the numbers high. I want to be the number one team in this area. He went for individuals that he felt could do the job, both women as well as people of color. And you saw the great results, right? Not to say that, this is going to be something that is a one for one thing where you're going to win the Super Bowl if you necessarily have, a diverse team, but it does make a difference. And that's the thing I think he's helping us to prove out, because it's not like a corporation where you're doing DEI initiatives and you can say, oh, well, we've improved our bottom line by 3%. That's on the sponsorship side and ticketing revenue and things of that nature. So on the football side, it's like, yes, are we getting a more diversified thought knowledge in our schemes? Are we doing more with resonating with the new player of the 2020s, those sorts of things. And so it's one of those things where it helps with the narrative, and it's extremely encouraging and something that we can point to say this is meaningful.
Well, I see Bruce is going to be involved in the quarterback coaching summit on the 22nd and 23rd. Was it strategic to have the GM forum on Monday and then the quarterback coaching summit on Tuesday and Wednesday to have them back to back?
So sure, yes, because the participants of the GM forum will also still be available. They're able to participate in the quarterback summit. It's helpful. One of the things that we always talk about is you can have the resume, you can have the experience and the knowledge and that sort of thing, but it is also about networking. So we don't want to just say we're having this session with GMs, potential GMs, and then not recognize that they also need to be online, where these coaches that are coaches of the future will be there as well, so they can see that talent as well. So it is very strategic to have the two of them back to back, one from a time perspective, and two, when we go back live, they will be held together.
And Ozzie Newsome is involved. How important is it to have someone who is extremely successful in that role, in that position as a GM, and for him to be involved as a minority former GM?
Well, when you're the first like he is and very passionate about making sure that you're not the only, I think it was just it was a no-brainer to make sure that this forum was named after him. First of all, we intend to honor him in that way. And I think that if anyone knows what it's like, the first would know what it's like, right? And if anyone knows what it takes to be successful in that position, there's no better person than Ozzie Newsome. And so I think that it's extremely important for us as a league to recognize his contributions to the game, but also for him as a way of giving back to those hopefuls that will come behind him.
And then Tara, last one for you. When there's a coach like Eric Bieniemy, who the platform that he's been on is winning a Super Bowl, going back to the Super Bowl, and so many have rallied around him and players have spoken out on his behalf. When he doesn't get an opportunity, is that discouraging? Is that, how does the league look at something like that?
So we say this in all sessions. We say this to all coaches. The league does not hire per se coaches. It's working with the teams, and so we'll continue to work with Coach Eric and with teams that he interviews with to make sure that we're identifying what are the challenges or what are the things that that we should be looking at with him. I mean, if you sit in a room with Coach Eric, and I've been a witness to that, he makes me want to get in the game. He is so encouraging and so just has the right mindset. But if a club is not looking necessarily for that space, you have to respect that. And so we'll just continue to work with the clubs. We'll continue to work with him, and I know that he's going to get a shot. I feel really, really good about that. And it's, you know, it's well deserved, as everybody always states. And I think it has to be the right situation. It's just not an open situation. It has to be the right situation for the club and for him.
Well, I happened to sit in on, I guess it was last year's coaching summit, and heard him present. And I was, just like you, I was motivated. I was ready to run through a brick wall for Eric Bieniemy. So I can understand
the epitome of that statement. Run through the brick wall for that. Yes.
You made a comment that I think gets overlooked sometimes in the criticism for the NFL. It is that the NFL doesn't hire the coaches. You guys are not the ones. You can only, as I asked you a little bit earlier in the beginning, you can only put the practices into place and the forms and everything else, but you're not ultimately doing the hiring. Now, there's been incentives at one point. There was the idea of incentivizing it, and that was revised and that was changed a little bit. How much do you think that can help?
Well, I think, and we talk about this all the time, because on one hand, some coaches, both of color and of not color, don't like the incentives. They think I'm in the mix because of the incentives. But I think it's really around the conversation that those incentives start to manifest. And so I think that those help in that manner mostly is around getting people to talk. Well, if the league is doing, then there's something I might be missing. So let me see what other talent is out there, as opposed to, I don't think, and I could be wrong, I don't think that the clubs are saying, I really want an extra draft pick, so let me, go for this coach. I don't think that that's the mindset. I think it's really about, there's a conversation to be had, and there's talent that I'm possibly missing, and you can say whatever you want to, but I know that there are 32 clubs who have a goal in mind at the end of the season. Their goal in mind is to have the best talent to make sure that they're at the end of the season. So when you put it that way and you realize it from that mindset, if they're thinking they're missing out on talent, there's not really a lot of barriers to that is going to keep them from actually searching that talent out. And we're going to continue to work to make sure that they have the resources to identify that talent, because whether they're out there or not, you need to make sure that everyone's networking. And that's what we're working really hard to make sure happens. But it's one of those things where I think the clubs are more so interested in finding the right talent, and we've got to be unapologetic about making sure we know that your pool might not be as vast as you might think it is. So let's open up that pool and then see if you come to the same answer.